Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. 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 Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I am your host today, Shantae Charles, and this is Relationship Wednesday. Over here, we spell Wednesday Winsday because hopefully we're giving you some tips and giving you some helpful things to navigate your relationships and the boundaries that you want to create in your relationships. So, we are diving back in to Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Dr. Nedra Glover Tawwab. And we're looking at her subject of blurred lines and making things plain. I had a very, very, very good conversation with my sister, my natural born sister, on yesterday. And she had me in stitches. Why? Because we were having a conversation about communication, and we were having a conversation about family and how important it is for us as family to communicate. And I was going on, and I was talking about travel. And I said, I understand that my husband and I, we tend to travel to where our family members are. We do most of the traveling to see our family members. And I said, at some point, we would like that to be reciprocated. We would love to, to have some of our family members come up here and visit us. Understand everybody has kids, so most people are doing what they can in terms of travel. We know travel can be expensive if you're traveling with children and all those things. So we try to make sure that we are going to see people, especially if they have, the majority of children or young children. I said, but at some point, you gotta reciprocate, right? And so we got into this conversation. I said, for example, if I see you and you're traveling and I'm looking at your travel and I'm looking at my travel and I see I'm doing all the traveling, but if I look up and I see every time I see you traveling, it's somewhere other than to see me. I see you traveling to other countries. I see you on cruises to other countries, and you don't ever make a trip to see me. That's where I got to draw a boundary. And my sister started laughing and she was like, I guess you talked about me too, huh? I said, well, just if the shoe fits. She was like, well, it fits today. So we had a good chuckle. We had a good laugh about boundary setting and also being mindful that you aren't expecting something of other people that you're not giving back. Oftentimes we can expect a behavior out of other people that when we turn around and when we examine ourselves, right, we have to realize, oh, I'm not living up to the thing that I'm asking other people to do. And that it can even include something as simple as a phone call. If you're always expecting people to call you might want to examine whether or not you've called people. Have you picked up the phone in this last year to be communicative? If you're expecting emails from people, are you emailing people? If you're expecting travel from people during the holidays, you have to ask yourself, are they always coming to see me for the holidays? Or have I ever gone in the opposite direction to meet them where they are for the holidays? And so we had a really, really good chuckle around that. And I was like, well, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot, but since we're here, and it's good that we have that kind of relationship where we can be honest and transparent with each other. And so I want to encourage you as you're going into leaving 2024 and going and moving into 2025, check yourself. Check yourself. I'm always trying to do that on a daily basis. I'm examining myself. What am I putting out into the world? What am I expecting back from people? What am I putting out into the world? What did I put out into the world today? Was I kind? Was I courageous? Was I bold? Did I say the things I needed to say today? Did I leave anything undone or unfinished? And if I did, where's that going to go? Am I going to bring it into the next day as something that needs to get done? But just evaluate yourself and really be honest with yourself. We listen and we don't judge here about those things. All right. So evaluate. Am I asking more out of people than I'm giving people, than I'm willing to give? Am I asking for behaviors out of people that I myself don't participate in and do? Am I leaving all the burden on other people to do something and I'm not taking up any of the responsibility to communicate or to make a relationship work? So the doctor is going to talk about these ultimatums. And she says here that when there are lines that are blurred in your relationship and about making it plain, some ultimatums are harder, such as those that will lead you to terminate a relationship or cut someone off. Before cutting someone off in your relationship, before cutting someone off, however, consider this. Have I set any boundaries? What are some possible ways that the other person might respond to my boundaries? Is the other person aware of my issues with them? And I will say, in my case, they are aware. And so, if they're not intent on changing, then I know what I'll be doing with my 2025. Have I been harmed beyond repair? Is there any harm being done? Is the other person willing to repair the relationship or whatever may be the issue as a whole? And then what are the healthy aspects of your relationship? Maybe you're not getting everything you want at this moment in your relationship, but does that mean that it is an unhealthy relationship? Or is that something you need to work on? Telling people to stop. In 90% of the Dr. Seuss book, Green Eggs and Ham, Sam is asked to try green eggs and ham. In a roundabout way, he says he isn't interested by saying things like, I do not like them there, I do not like them anywhere. In this 62-page book, Sam never says, stop asking me. Page after page, he's annoyed about eating something that he has clearly stated he doesn't like. When I read this book to my 3-year-old, I immediately thought, why doesn't he just shut this down by saying stop? And guess what? Around page 56, Sam agrees to eat the green eggs and ham, and he enjoys it. People expect you to give in eventually. They continue to ask because you haven't declared in no uncertain terms that you won't give in. Saying stop can save you the need to repeatedly push people off. So be direct and tell them you're not interested. Cutoffs and walls. Merely stating your expectations may not be enough, particularly for people who habitually violate them. Healthy boundaries include statements and actions that promote what you want in a relationship. When you set a boundary, it's your job to reinforce it. Cutoffs. A cutoff happens when you decide to terminate an unhealthy relationship. In my Instagram stories poll, 78% of people stated that they do not believe that people with unhealthy behaviors can change. If someone refuses enough times to honor your boundaries, you may choose to cut them off. Others may cut you off as well because of the limits you set with them. No matter who initiates the cutoff, it may prompt these feelings. I feel better without the stress of this relationship. I knew I shouldn't have asked them to do X, Y, and Z. Both of those, one is relief and one is regret. But what about guilt? It's my fault that this happened. Or even anger. I can't believe they would respond to me like this. Or even sadness. I really miss having blank blank as my friend. The above responses are normal and typical after a relationship ends, even if the response is unsatisfying. Cutoffs happen in two ways. You clearly state why you're ending the relationship with the other person, or you ghost the other person, leave the relationship with no warning. Ghosting is an intentional action to passively sever ties with people. Cutoff can be a way of caring for yourself on a deeper level, as remaining in a relationship with a person who is unwilling to change can be painful and damaging. Walls. Walls are rigid boundaries through which you intend to protect yourself by keeping people out. With walls, the same rules apply to all people. By offering very little flexibility in your boundaries, you keep out both harmful and positive things in people. Walls are an unhealthy way of protecting yourself as they are rigid and indiscriminate. Of course, it's essential to protect yourself from abusive or dangerous situations and people, but I wouldn't consider that the same as building walls. Your boundaries are made on a case by case basis. When you build walls, you keep everyone out, not just the abusive individuals. So, when someone violates your boundary, you can restate it or refresh it, reduce your interactions with that person, issue an ultimatum, or accept it and let go of the relationship. Accepting and letting go. I don't know who might be calling, but I do not recognize any of these numbers. Excuse me. All right. Accepting and letting go. When you've tried setting boundaries and your requests are continuously violated, it may be time to consider cutting people off. Of course, terminating a relationship isn't easy, so put a healthy plan in place to care for yourself through the process. Ending a relationship isn't a sign that you no longer care about the other person. It's often an indicator of self love, self care, healthy boundaries, bravery, and your desire to be well. Terminating a relationship will mimic the grief process. You're likely to experience the following: depression, anger, confusion, and even bargaining. Your ultimate goal is to come to a place of acceptance that you aren't able to change others and that you've tried to do your part in repairing the relationship. When a relationship ends, it is okay to grieve the loss, to cry, to be angry, or to feel sad. It's okay to practice self compassion. It was not your fault. Or engage in radical self care. Make a list affirming who you are. Process what you learned about yourself as a result of the toxic relationship. And here's the thing, not every relationship that ends is toxic. Sometimes it's unsuccessful because your values don't line up. Sometimes you have to end a relationship because you're going in two different directions and your goals do not align. So keep that in mind as you are processing what you're learning about yourself. Determine how you would like to show up in your present and your future relationships. Forgive yourself for the things you allowed to happen in the relationship. Forgive yourself for not leaving sooner. It's true. People may not like the boundaries you set, and they might retaliate by cutting you off, giving you the silent treatment, manipulating you by trying to talk you out of your boundary, being mean, and one she doesn't have on here is trying to turn other people against you and undermining other relationships that you all might have in connection. I've had people to do that. Now, when I see that happen, I don't intervene. I don't try to go and convince the other person that, hey, I'm a really good person and, you know, I see what this person is trying to do and you shouldn't listen to them. No, I don't do any of that. You know why? Because I see my relationships as individual with each person. And so if someone can talk you out of being my friend and you and I have a relationship and you've known me and you know my character and you know my behaviors towards you, if someone can talk you out of being my friend, you gonna get talked out because I'm a wave bye bye. Because I don't do that with the friendships that I have. And here's the other thing, I don't let someone else's perception of their friendship with people I have friendships with cloud my reception with that person. I do try to judge people based off of their relationship with me, their consistency with me, their character with me. All right. So there, you could run into that. You could run into people trying to, once you disconnect from them, you could run into people that are undermining, right, your relationship with other people. Setting limits won't disrupt a healthy relationship. This is important, and we're going to stop here for today. If you experience any of the above, know that the damage wasn't caused by your boundary. The relationship was already unhealthy, and your boundary brought to the surface the issues that needed to be addressed. Setting limits won't disrupt a healthy relationship. I know it's scary to maybe think that sharing a boundary could end a relationship, but instead of focusing on the worst case scenario, focus on the possibility that the person will honor your request, even if that person has been difficult in the past. So we are going to stop there. I hope that I have said something. This is our last Wednesday before we reconvene in the new year. I hope that I've said something that has been helpful, that's going to help you with any of your conversations you need to have over the holidays as you are meeting with friends and family or even reconnecting with some friends and family, that you will engage in setting boundaries and being clear about your boundaries, especially during this holiday season. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and always for your attention. If you want to join us for the talk back, you can join us on Instagram at Daring Dialogues. We're going there right now, and hopefully we'll see you there. Take care and be well.